Look, Steven's involved. We know Steven's involved. Steven does his fair share of media. It gets overshadowed because he usually doesn't say something outlandish like Jerry does, either deliberately or inadvertently. Jerry is more entertaining. I wonder at some level, is Jerry providing cover to Steven? Because, and I got to this spot because I'm thinking, look, I don't mean to turn this political, folks. I'm just using it as an example. We had a presidential candidate who stepped down because it became clear that the fastball is gone. We're all going to lose our fastball at some point if we live long enough to do so. Fortunately for me, I never had one, so I don't have anything to lose. But it's entirely possible Jerry's lost his fastball, but Steven's been there side by side with him. And we know the story about how they managed to get him to not draft Johnny Manziel in 2014. They steered him towards Zach Martin. So they know how to manage Jerry when they want to. I don't know if they just decided it's exhausting, that we just give up. But all this talk from Jerry and all this blame on Jerry, Steven's awfully quiet through all of this. And I wonder how much of this is really on Steven for not taking the keys away, for not taking control at a time when maybe Dad's best days are behind him. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I hope to live that long. Jerry Jones is in the Hall of Fame. He deserves all the credit we can get. And hey, Michael, for all his faults, mission accomplished, because we're 25 minutes in, and what are we talking about? The Dallas Cowboys. A fairly crappy team right now. But this 78%, maybe Jerry's just taking the bullet for Steven.
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that, but that would be okay. That would be a pretty good tack for Jerry Jones. It's my son. As you said, Florio, I'm not going to get fired. So if I take all the responsibility for something that my son does, all right, who gets hurt? He doesn't get hurt because nobody's talking about him. I don't get hurt because nobody's going to take the Cowboys away from me. He's made this clear, I'm never going to allow anybody to be the general manager. I don't care if Bill Belichick comes in here. I had Bill Parcells before. Nobody's going to be the general manager. So really, what do I lose by saying the people are right? By the way, you disappointed me there because I thought you were about to go down, and I was looking forward to one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite Pro Football Talk characters, and that would be Dr. Doom. I thought you were about to give me a Dr. Doom when you said, hey, as long as we live. And I thought you were going to talk about like the fragility of life and how we don't have that much time and one day closer to death. I mean, I was expecting that, Mike, so I'm a little disappointed we didn't go there.
Maybe I have lost my fastball. Maybe the end is coming sooner than I expected. When you mentioned character, I didn't even realize there are characters. There are two. There's Dr. Doom and there's Prison Mike. Prison Mike only makes rare appearances. And there's yet to be anything this season once the games have started to activate Prison Mike. But Prison Mike is lurking. Dr. Doom is there. There's probably some others I'm not thinking of. But I think we might be onto something here. Because look how long it took for us to figure it out. For anyone to figure it out. I haven't seen, and I try not to watch a lot of other shows because I don't, you stole our idea or whatever. I have yet to see any clips on social media of anybody suggesting, where's Steven? Where's Steven? What's he doing to counteract Jerry being too cheap and too short-sighted to recognize we're going to pay these guys anyway? Why don't we pay them at a time that will give us the cap space that we could use to maybe sign Derrick Henry? He got asked that question again yesterday because he said after the game on Sunday we couldn't afford him. Multiple people have come to the conclusion that that's a load of crap, including me. You easily could have signed him if you wanted to sign him. $5 million cap number this year. You could have done it. Find that in the couch cushions. The salary cap's almost $250 million. You could have found the $5 million to sign Derrick Henry. he got asked that question yesterday. Man, he interrupted the host. Oh, well, I'm going to stop you right there. He wouldn't even let them finish the question about Derrick Henry because he knows he's full of crap on that. And then he just kind of word salad his way to the conclusion. And if you listen to the answer, if you can keep your focus, and that's hard for me because it's just like, is he saying anything? What's he saying? He eventually invoked the Randy Moss example. And he mentioned that Jason Garrett's dad was a scout at the time, and Jason Garrett's dad was basically standing on the table saying, are we crazy here? Are we nuts? This is the greatest receiver in NFL history, and you're not going to take him? And Jerry used that example because basically, this isn't the first time I've screwed up and made a bad decision on personnel. He didn't come out and say it, but by using that example, he's essentially conceding, I got it wrong. Hindsight's proven me wrong. So, regardless, they didn't want him. They could have had him. They could have afforded him. They chose not to sign him. And again, who's responsible for that? We're going to say Jerry because he says blame me. Where's the rest of the mechanism? All these other people that get praised when things go well. When things go poorly, Jerry just stands out there and takes all the heat, and nobody else gets any of the blame. And maybe that's really, and this is why I like doing this, because I don't know that I ever would have come to this conclusion sitting in my office, because I don't have the attention span to really devote thought. There's value in this, folks, because, to the extent, we may be wrong, but we're exposing something. We're raising a question that no one else has raised as far as I know. How much blame should Stephen Jones get for the mess that is currently the Cowboys franchise? And Jerry's doing a great job of providing cover for it.
It's a beautiful situation if you're Stephen Jones, and maybe it's not that for somebody who is not named Jones. So if you're a great scout, let's say you're the number one talent guy, not named Jones, who works for the Cowboys, you'll never get the credit for finding Dak Prescott in the 4th round. You'll never get credit for bringing in a really talented free agent or just making a shrewd move, because that's all on Jerry Jones. So maybe you don't get the advancement that you're looking for in your career that some of these other young scouts and college scouting directors get, because their name is out there. They're getting credit for it. But on the flip side, Mike, things go poorly. If you can't stop the run, which the Cowboys can't, when you get pushed around on the defensive line, your front seven doesn't provide any resistance, they're not talking about you. They're not talking about the players you didn't bring in. They're talking about Jerry Jones. So if you want a nice, long career without any scrutiny, work for the Cowboys. You can hide. And the only one who really holds you accountable is Jerry Jones. And if Jerry's not paying attention, even better.
And Will McClay's the guy who gets most of the credit for all of the draft picks that they have found. They have done a great job of drafting and developing players in recent years. It allows them to win 12 regular season games. The problem is they make bad decisions about what to do with the dollars when it's time to pay or not pay. And it's not just a situation where they're cheap with Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Parsons. They also have done some dumb things by way of spending. They never should have used the franchise tag on Tony Pollard last year at $10 million. They could have gotten him to a longer-term deal coming off of a broken ankle. And I hate to be that ruthless about it, but that's how the game is. Guys coming off a broken ankle, you're going to commit $10 million fully guaranteed at a time when the running back market is depressed. That wasn't smart. They gave a significant contract to Michael Gallup, receiver coming off of a torn ACL, and they ended up cutting him, and he retired. So they have done some dumb things by way of spending, and they've done some dumb things by way of not spending, but they've done a pretty good job, and they've been roundly praised. That's one of the things Belichick did. And, back when it looked like maybe Jerry would circle around to Belichick, fire McCarthy and hire Belichick, somebody pointed out to me, look at all the times the Cowboys and Patriots are getting ready to play each other. Look at Bill Belichick's comments about Jerry and Stephen Jones and the team they have put together there. He is, and this isn't a guy who's going to throw out gratuitous praise for anyone, He constantly praises them whenever he has the chance to do so for the kind of team they've put together. But the question becomes, how do you properly hold it together in a way that manages the cap and that doesn't put one hand behind your back in the offseason, as you could go out there and find guys who will enhance your roster and make you better than 1 and 2 and make you better than a team that just looks lost in their 2 home games. They hadn't lost a regular season home game in 2 years, and they've looked lost the last 2 weeks. Now, credit, they gave the Ravens a run late, but it was too late. They had already been embarrassed down 28-6 in the second half. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.